the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you'll find me. Or somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I? Well, I see trees of green and red roses too, and I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and clouds of white, and the brightness of day, and the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I?
My name is Gary McCann. I am the Senior Minister of New England Congregational Church here in Aurora. And on behalf of Marilyn and her family, I thank you for coming to this visitation this week and this service today. It is a testimony indeed to Tom's vital impact in the lives of the people in Aurora that so many have honored him with their presence. We gather here to grieve the death and celebrate the life of Thomas J. Weisner. We come here with tears of sadness and broken hearts because this one who has been at the center of our lives and at the center of this city for many decades is gone from us on this earth. But we come also with gratitude for the immense privilege that has been ours to call this good man our husband, our father and grandfather, our brother and uncle, our mentor, our mayor, and our friend. It is appropriate that we should gather in this beautiful theater whose significant history and current success is due in large part to the undying efforts and the enduring support of this man that we remember today. I think it is not overstating the case to say that Tom Weisner was a legend in his own time, though I don't think he would have used those words, humble man that he was. It is one of the profound paradoxes of life that we can come face to face with death to sing and celebrate life. The pain that we must endure at Tom's death is in direct proportion to the delight that we enjoyed in knowing him. For those who love deeply will also grieve deeply when the object of our love is gone from us. As difficult as grief is to bear, it reveals the immeasurable influence that Tom has had on us, collectively and personally. Our pain being ameliorated by the knowledge that we are infinitely better people for having known him, and this community is stronger because of his presence. Our service today will include speakers and readings that Marilyn has invited to reflect on the various facets of Tom's life. They will introduce themselves to you as they speak.
I did not get Tom's tall Jean. Good morning. My name is Joy Trimble, and this is Melinda Kronig, and we are Tom Weisner's first cousins. We grew up together in Batavia, Illinois. It is my honor and my privilege to stand before you today to celebrate the life of Thomas J. Weisner, who has passed from his existence here on earth into the loving arms of God. I would like to thank everyone in attendance here today for providing comfort to Marilyn and to our family. There have been many beautifully written tributes and heartwarming acknowledgments printed about Tom in the last 2 weeks since Tom's passing. These articles brought comfort and consolation to my heart and tears to my eyes, as they were so complimentary and appreciative of the accomplishments in Tom's life, in Tom's political career, and in Tom's position as the former mayor of Aurora. Yes, Tom was a vibrant and effective mayor, and a truly devoted public servant, and I deeply admire, respect, and applaud Tom for a lifetime of service and outreach to others. Today, however, I would like to take the opportunity to talk about Tom as a beloved cousin, the Tom that I knew. Tom was 5 years older than me. When I reflect back on my relationship with Tom, I'm immediately struck by the mutual love and respect that we had for one another. 5 years is a lot of age difference when you're young and growing up. Yet Tom never let age interfere or get into the way of our relationship. Tom always treated me as an equal. He had a warm and loving sense of accepting me wherever I was at in my life and leveling the playing field between us. Tom knew how to make me feel special, as though there were only the two of us in a room, when in fact a whole room full of people were present. And this was one of Tom's most amazing and incredible gifts. Tom had the ability to be fully present to others. Tom's sharp wit and quick sense of humor contributed to enjoyable conversations and visits with him. He was a delightfully fun and amusing person to be around. Tom always had rosy cheeks, a smile on his face, and a twinkle in his eye. And yes, was Tom handsome. When I got married, Tom was the first person that came to my mind when I needed a lector for my readings. Tom did not hesitate to say yes. Tom proclaimed the reading that I had selected for him from one 1 Corinthians with confidence and an inner knowing and self-realization that love is patient, love is kind, love never fails. Perhaps it was visionary that Tom, at age 26, already had a sense of the magnitude and importance of St. Paul's words about love, and what these words about love would mean to a man with a servant's heart, and a life that would be dedicated and devoted to helping others. Tom's huge and generous heart was evident long ago in Tom's early teens, when he purchased a baseball mitt with his own money for my younger sister Debbie as a gift for her first communion, much to the chagrin of Tom's and my parents. The baseball mitt cost $5, which was a lot of money back then. This original gift came from Tom's heart because Tom knew that his cousin Debbie liked to play baseball. In fact, it was Tom that taught Debbie how to hit, catch, and throw a baseball. It did not matter to Tom that Debbie was just a kid cousin and was a girl. Tom cared deeply for all of his cousins and took special care to stay connected with all of us. Above all, Tom was a family man who deeply loved and cherished his wife, Marilyn, and his family. Tom relished family get-togethers and family reunions. Tom's passing is a great loss to those who knew him. Today, I find solace knowing that Tom is currently with God in a perfect place where there is no more pain and no more suffering. I have faith that it was Jesus who came to take Tom home. And when Jesus met Tom at his hospice bedside, took Tom's 2 hands and said to Tom, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Your spirit lives forever in my heart. I love you, Cousin Tom.
And Tom was on my father's side of the family. He was his sister's oldest son. Our families, along with my father's younger brother, my cousin Joy's father, lived in Batavia, and we were close. I didn't know Tom very well growing up. Tom was 10 years my senior, and when I was just finishing 2nd grade, he was graduating from Marmion Military Academy. After Tom and Marilyn returned from the Peace Corps and settled in Aurora, we saw each other more, and we got to know each other even better and grew closer. Growing older and raising a family, my parents and brothers all moved out west, and Tom always made a point of including us in his family gatherings. Tom lived a magnificent life of service to his community and to others, and he loved what he did. He had a special place in his heart for disabled and disadvantaged people, especially children. What I cherished the most about Tom was his love and devotion for his entire family. He was such a loving husband to Marilyn, and a father and grandfather, brother, uncle, and cousin, and a good friend. And though his son, Thad, couldn't talk or couldn't walk, his eyes would light up when Tom walked into the room. He loved his extended family, and it was very important to him, even though many of us lived out of state. And he often talked about having a family reunion with the Schramer someday. Time just ran out. Tom loved baseball and was a faithful Cubs fan. So was our mutual cousin, Tommy, who lived in Texas. Tommy had an intellectual disability, and when he was a young man, he used to visit for 2 weeks every summer. And Tom would always make sure that he spent time with Tommy and always took him to a Cubs game. Tom was a brilliant writer. Over the years, he had written numerous articles, many published in the Aurora Beacon News. He wrote common sense and opinion column articles and stories full of humor about topics that were important to him, and often mentioned Maryland in them. He was funny, and he loved to make people laugh. Tom was a very generous and giving person. Unlike my husband, Tom liked to shop. Sorry, dear. He would pick out gifts for people that were personal and thoughtful. I recall on a few occasions admiring an outfit that Marilyn was wearing, and she would say, "Tom got that for me." Often when we were at Tom's house visiting, we would leave with something that he wanted us to have. Tom also enjoyed cooking and entertaining friends and family. He was a grill master and loved to show off his skills at family barbecues and offer up some appetizers from Uncle Jack's recipes. The last time I saw Tom before he went into the hospital was at his house the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and he invited me and my family over to join him, Marilyn, Tony, and his family at a holiday dinner, and he cooked a turkey on the grill that afternoon, and it was the best turkeys I've ever had. And my daughter Christina recently graduated from Purdue University with a BA in nursing, and Tom presented her with a decorated cake to celebrate her accomplishments. He gave us each a t-shirt before we left. Even as he grew weak and frail and his health was failing, he always put others first. Through his suffering, he maintained a positive attitude and a sense of humor. I never once heard him complain. I'm so grateful that I was able to spend time with Tom in the hospital in his final days. I shared with him about the remarkable life he lived and to not be afraid. I told him I loved him and thanked him for being so good to me. My oldest brother, Paul, could not make the trip to be here today. Growing up of my siblings, he was the closest to age to Tom. He shared with me a story of a past memory he had with Tom that I will read to you. In the late summer of 1973, I turned 21 and was feeling pretty excited to be starting my life, as we used to say. I went to visit Tom and Marilyn at their home in North Aurora. I hadn't had much opportunity to see my cousin since he got married to Marilyn the year before. We had much to catch up on, but we fell into one of those deep discussions that I love to get into with Tom. We were both very conscious that we were both about to step into our lives and that we probably wouldn't see much of each other, with me about ready to head west and Tom and Marilyn into the Peace Corps. As the night came on, while sitting on their porch, we talked until it became too dark to see each other's faces about what it might mean to walk a path with heart. And Tom told me of his desire to live a life of service and never compromise his values in exchange for money or success. This made a huge impression on me. Before it was time for me to go, and knowing that we might not see each other for years, we mused that it would be fun to get together when we were old, if we lived, and compare notes on whether he was right. We never had a chance to reminisce about that conversation, that by the time we were nearing retirement age and got to see each other, wasn't really even a question anyway. Of course, Tom was right. Thanks, Tom, for showing us all how to do it right, how to live a good life here on earth. Tom lived a remarkable life and left an impression on many of us. And I love him, and I'm going to miss Tom. And someday I will see Tom again, and we will have that family reunion that he always wanted. God bless you all.
A former staff member, a friend, and a big fan of Tom Weisner. Tom Weisner was a person who understood the balance of our human existence, and he lived well within the bounds of life's paradoxes. He changed what he thought he could or should be changed, he accepted what he couldn't change, and he possessed wisdom to know the difference. To that end, we hear the words of the sage philosopher Ecclesiastes as words of comfort today. To everything there is a time, and a season for every activity on the earth. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. God has made everything beautiful in its time. We have the innate desire to know the future, but we cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. The best thing we can do is eat, drink, and be happy in the life that God has given to us. This is the gift of God.
Good morning. I'm John Savage, a longtime friend of Tom. The legacy of Tom Weisner will long be remembered in Aurora. His positive impact on our city and his residents are great. But Tom had three great loves in his life. One, his beloved wife Marilyn. Two, his family. And three, Aurora. Tom and I, as I said, have been friends for a very long time. I remember sitting in the mayor's office over 30 years ago discussing this man and his family that were coming back to Aurora. He had been active in the Kane County Democrats, and he had worked for Mayor Jack Hill's political campaign. They were in the Peace Corps and in the Solomon Islands, and they needed to return back to Aurora for better health care for their son. We discussed what type of job would be a good fit for him. At the same time, we were finishing stages of the Downtown Transportation Center, and we knew we were going to need a manager to oversee that facility. Also, the city had been awarded a grant for the Emergency Services Disaster Agency to coordinate city departments and other governmental units in the event of a disaster. We thought about it for a while and agreed Tom Weisner was the right man for both jobs, and that's how his career started in Aurora. Tom was always a visionary, and he wanted to make Aurora better. When he decided to run for mayor, he knew it would be a monumental job, but he felt that his experiences of working with so many different city departments and the passion that he had for our community, that it was truly the calling for him to run for mayor. I remember sitting in his home with Marilyn and him in the very preliminary stages of his first campaign, talking about his public image and perception. And I mentioned to him, Tom, have you ever thought about shaving that beard? There's very few elected officials that have beards. And before I get another word out, Marilyn leads in and says, the beard stays. We also know how much Tom liked to write. He truly had a gift. Also in his first campaign, I was pushing him that he needed to write and develop a campaign platform, really the things that he wanted to accomplish as mayor in Aurora. We thought about just a few major items, such as economic development growth, lower taxes, crime was a major issue in the city at the time. Those would be the foundations of his campaign. He told me that he would work on that on his vacation with Marilyn in Florida, and when he returned, he would share it with me. So when he returned, he gave me a phone call, said, come on over to the house. I want you to read this very concise campaign statement, platform that I put together. Well, typical Tom Weisner fashion, when I got there, he gave me a 17-page document outlining all that he wanted to accomplish as mayor. And I knew then, not only would he accomplish all 17 pages, but he would do much more. You know, Tom's accomplishments are long. In fact, if I were to list all of them, it'd be longer than one of his annual State of the City addresses. And I think a lot of you were there, and those things could be painful and long. Typically, an hour and a half, you knew you wouldn't be back to the office before 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I know I still have one of those stickers that says, "I survived the State of the City address." However, they were so long because he had so much to talk about, so many accomplishments, but also I think really the important piece was he wanted to thank and recognize so many people, because he knew that it was their efforts that really helped to make Aurora a better place. Tom was a very humble man, and he knew not him alone could make things happen. It was through collaboration of individuals, businesses, schools, governmental units, etc. It was these partnerships that made Aurora better, and Tom was adept at making that happen. However, with that said, I need to list a few. Tom led the effort to really transform Aurora, once known as a blue-collar city with a serious crime problem, and he led it to a 21st century city with great hope and a greatly reduced crime rate. He pushed for more emphasis on crime reduction and building a state-of-the-art police station. His commitment that the police had to have the very best tools at their disposal was critical to him, and as a result, our crime rate has dropped dramatically, and we're the envy of many other comparable cities. Tom had to make some extremely difficult decisions in the recession of 2008, but even through all those headwinds, he was able to battle through those economic challenges, maintain high public service to the community, balance budgets, and kept taxes in line. He championed a call center to improve citizens' interaction with City Hall. He had a mentality that government had to treat its public like customers with respect and professionalism. He was also a champion for the many social service agencies that are in our community. He never forgot there are so many that are not as fortunate, and they cannot be ignored or forgotten. I think it was his experience in the Peace Corps that really helped to establish his lifelong commitment to help others in need. Tom also recognized early on that one of Aurora's greatest strengths is its diversity. Hispanic, African American, Indian are one of the many other nationalities that are part of our community. It was diversity that makes our city great. He stressed that we need to be proud of that diversity, embrace it, leverage it, and we did. Tom also believed that technology was critical to the future of Aurora. He pushed hard to build a fiber optic network throughout the city to benefit its citizens, businesses, and schools. And we're now reaping those benefits of greater economic growth in Aurora because of his belief that technology would be the bridge of change. It would turn Aurora into a high-tech city, and it is. He also had an unbelievably strong commitment to infrastructure. I think part of that is his times when he worked in those departments for the city. Whether or not it was rebuilding bridges, the numerous water and sewer projects, roadway construction, the Ola Road interchange, the list is many, but Tom knew that a strong infrastructure was the backbone of our city, and we always need to look to maintain and improve it. Tom was a firm believer in the protection of the environment, sustainability. He wanted to protect our resources on our earth, and as mayor, he took the pledge that Aurora was going to be an environmental leader of all cities in Illinois and the country, and it is. Tom also knew that a great education was essential to the city. Without strong schools, the city's potential would never be reached. Its future workforce was dependent upon the training of the students. Young families look to quality schools in the community they want to live in. Tom led the efforts to partner with many different, always ensure that quality education was a priority for our city. Near and dear to my heart was his support of the library and the construction of the Santori Downtown Library. After many years of planning, he pushed for the construction of the new library because he knew how important the library was to our community, and particularly those that were disadvantaged. I remember when he asked me to be on the board, We talked for about an hour about the importance of a strong library system, how it can serve our community in so many different ways, how critical technology was for the library of the future. Of course, at the end of our discussion, I agreed I would join the board, and then in typical Tom Weisner fashion, he leans in, "You do have a library card, don't you?" I'd be kind of embarrassed if he didn't. I pointed to him. I said, "Yes, I had a library card." Also, his belief in arts and culture to our city and his commitment to the Paramount Theater was so great. He felt that the Paramount become a regional hub and a major driver to downtown redevelopment, and it has. His support of the Paramount and the Broadway series and his creativity to partner with other governments in the Dunham Fund to build the River Edge Park were instrumental. His vision of a performing arts school in Aurora will open this year, and a footbridge across the Fox River will connect the west side of Aurora to the Thomas J. Weisner River Edge Park, set to open in 2020. And even in retirement, he gave back to the Paramount by serving as co-chairman of the Paramount Capital Campaign to help fund that new school, replace the seats that you're sitting here in the Paramount, and to help rehab the North Island Center across the street. Tom's impact on the Paramount cannot be measured. With that long list, to me, however, there's several small things that I will always remember Tom for. I will always remember how he hated to eat anywhere outside the city of Aurora. He would only eat at Aurora restaurants no matter how bad they were. He was loyal to the heart, to Aurora businesses, and always tried to frequent them. I'll remember his great sense of humor and sarcasm. Unfortunately, oftentimes I was the brunt of many of those jokes, but I accept that. If you wanted to find the mayor in the summer, on a Saturday morning, you just go downtown to the farmer's market and the transportation center. He'd be there for hours, wearing a bad Hawaiian shirt and sandals, shopping, and asking people, how am I doing, and how can we make Aurora better? I too remember how he enjoyed to cook. He was a barbecue purist, would only cook with charcoal, and liked drinking a good Manhattan. I remember how important the Peace Corps meant to him in Maryland. He would tell me at times he still wished he was part of that organization. He would talk about the gentleness and kindness of the people of the Solomon Islands and how he and Maryland truly made a difference. I remember him for his courage and dignity and his quiet strength of how he dealt with his cancer. He endured many difficult years, but if you were to ask him how he was doing, he would always say, "I'm feeling good." I remember him how emotional he would get at his annual State of the City addresses when he spoke of his wife Marilyn and Aurora. You could truly feel the love that he had for both. No single man has had so much impact on making our city better and improving the lives of others. To me, it all comes back to his three great loves: his wife Marilyn, his family, Aurora. Tom, you are my friend. You are our mayor. We thank you for all you did. We'll miss you.
Good morning. I'm Rick Mervine. I'm an alderman here in the city of Aurora and a long-time Tom Weisner friend. Tom was one who did not lose heart when life became difficult, whether personally or professionally. The words we hear from Paul's letter to the church at Corinth celebrates this quality and offers to those of us grieving Tom's death a comfort that ultimately Tom is in a better place. From 2 Corinthians. So we do not lose heart. Though our outer nature is wasting away, our inner nature is being renewed. From this slight momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all human comparison, because we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient and temporal, but the things that are unseen are eternal. We know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with human hands, a home eternal in the heavens. So we are always of good courage. We know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from God. We walk by faith and not by sight. We also know that to be away from this earthly body is to be present with our God. For behold, the old order of things has passed away, and all things are made new.
My name is Lulu Blacksmith. While serving on the United Way board, I often heard Tom's name mentioned, always in reference to a committee he served or on a project he was working on with either study circles, the Aurora Chamber of Commerce, or another nonprofit organization. I first met Tom while working for the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. At that time, Tom served on the board of directors for the Quan County Urban League. I met with Yodia and Tom to discuss funding opportunities for the organization. Later, when Tom became mayor, I got to know him a little better through my work with the Speaker, the Aurora Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Compañeros en Salud, or in English, Partners in Health, and Wapansi Community College. Tom often met with the Speaker. He always came prepared with a proposal for funding or just to share information about what was going on at the city of Aurora. As a result of Tom's advocacy efforts, the city of Aurora received funding such as the Sullivan Road Bridge. Under Tom's leadership, there were many things happening in Aurora. Tom built bridges of collaboration to help organizations reach out to Latino families about opportunities in education, health, job training, and other programs. Tom supported the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and my best friend's efforts. As the president of the Chamber of Commerce, of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Zaira Rodriguez had a unique challenge. We did not have the resources we needed to help a segment of the community who were trying to catch up to other groups. But in Zaira's words, building bridges to help Latinos wasn't very difficult because I worked with influential leaders who understood and believed in the Chamber's mission. Tom was one of those individuals. His heartfelt support for our efforts helped us overcome communication barriers and facilitate positive engagement and collaboration with the Hispanic community. In addition, Tom recognized the families living in Aurora struggle taking care of their health because they did not have health insurance. Tom also helped with these efforts. Tom attended practically every Compañeros en Salud health festival. At the health fair, he would address the participants and then would walk around saying hello to them, interacting with them. He would say hello to them and would share, "Yo hablo poquito español." The participants got excited to hear him speak those words and would try to engage him in conversation. He often got frustrated because he couldn't fully connect with them. Later, he confessed to me, "Lulu, speaking Spanish is not one of my strengths." That's when Marilyn, who speaks Spanish, started coming with him. Imagine how special the participants felt when the mayor of Aurora and the first lady care about them. They came to say hello to them. They made them feel welcome, included, and perhaps gave them a sense of belonging. When Tom and Marilyn learned about the immigrant family who were going through some difficult times, they were there to help them, even through Tom's own pain and suffering. The husband, the income producer, was dying of cancer. His wife didn't speak English. And the young children, Ivan and Amara, were not old enough to comprehend that in a very short time, their dad would be leaving this world. Tom and Marilyn adopted them. They brought food to their home. They bought gifts at Christmas time and cared for them even after the father died. Before and after Tom retired, he often called me worried about Ivan, Amanda, Amara, and Felicitas, always looking for resources for them. Lulu, what type of program does Wabansi have to help Felicitas learn English? After Felicitas enrolled in the ESL program, Tom would call asking what more could be done. She needs to learn English right away. He would say, my reply was always, well, Tom, learning English is a process. It takes time. It's not something that you can just learn in a few days. Tom knew this. He really did. But he wanted to find a way to help Felicitas improve her chances of getting a better job. Tom and Marilyn often drove Felicitas to the Aurora downtown campus to attend a class or to meet with the staff to discuss her progress. At the same time, Tom was mentoring Ivan. He would often bring him to our health festivals and other events to help him learn about the community while guiding him in many other ways. These outings were good for Ivan. It was good for him to have a father figure in his life. To keep Ivan stay focused on education and away from some potential bad influences, Tom raised funds to send Ivan to a private school. It was heartwarming to see the genuine concern Tom and Marilyn had for this family. Tom also demonstrated authentic concern for education and formed pathways to prosperity in collaboration with Aurora's school districts and Wabansi Community College. This might have come at a time when people started to lose hope in education. Among other accomplishments, these initiatives sparked conversations and collaboration among educational leaders about career pathways and economic opportunity for the young people of Aurora. Through this process, and always, Tom was always professional. He returned my calls. He often called me to give me heads up on a potential issue for Wabansi. He collaborated with the president, Dr. Sobek, on projects and was a good friend to the college and our students. Tom built relationships from the inside out, addressing a need, helping an immigrant family, and building communities. That's who Tom was.
We realized that Tom's wallet, along with the student who he was chaperoning's wallet, were still at the Hyatt Hotel. To this day, I do not know how we got them on the plane, but we did. Through the years, Hope Wall, its teachers, its students, and families were a big part of Tom's life and his involvement in the disability community. Being treated with respect and dignity, knowing that every person is important and every person has a purpose. That is how Tom treated all people. We know it's not what you say, but it's what you do. The last time that I talked with Tom was in my backyard at our alumni reunion. We have one every summer. And Tom wanted to talk to me about when I was going to organize another trip to Washington, D.C. So I think that's on my agenda. Whenever I would see Tom, either at school or in the community, he would ask me how things were going at school, and if I knew of a student or a family who needed help. If I knew of someone, I would tell him. But I don't think that Tom would really want me to share with all of you today all the things that I know that he did, because I don't think that's why he did them. Some of the more public acts of kindness in my world that you already know because they were in the newspapers. You know that Tom shaved his head, that beautiful, gorgeous head of hair, to raise money for young people who needed medical treatment and medicine. People who he didn't even know. He just knew they needed help. 2 years after he did that fundraiser at graduation, I went up to him and I said, "Hey, do you want to see the young lady that you helped?" He goes, "Yeah, where is she?" I said, "Well, there she is. She's graduating." And that was the first time that he knew who it was. He provided opportunity for hundreds of students to experience shows right here in the Paramount. And he was always leading the way for people with disabilities in our community to have real job opportunities and real purpose. We all have the opportunity to continue the good work Tom was doing. And just being kind to each other is a step in the right direction. Tom was a bright light, and yes, I am sad at his passing. My faith gives me comfort that he's in a better place. And these last 2 weeks, I've talked with many of my former students and families. And these are their words. They are very happy because now Tom is with Dad. Since December 28th, I've been remembering a lot. You know, the Weisners have some very large trees in their yard. And I am not sure that Tom really loved picking up all those sticks. But he did tell me how he enjoyed picking up sticks with his son, Thad. When Dad went to heaven, I planted a peach tree in my backyard. This spring, I'm going to plant a tree for Tom. A tree that drops a lot of branches so that every time I'm out there and I'm picking up a stick, I will think of a happy memory and I will be reminded of Tom and his amazing spirit.
Hi, everybody. It's beautiful to see you all, and an honor to be on the stage with all of you. Tom and Marilyn, well, I'm the artistic director of Paramount Theater's Broadway series, and Tom and Marilyn were the very first subscribers, and they led the way. Tom personified the enthusiasm the city had for this risky prospect of creating a Broadway series in this building. I just was remembering the day we won our Jeff, and I got a Jeff for directing, and I'm in the office working on something, and Tim Rader, our president and CEO, pops his head in and he goes, "There's somebody here to see you," and it was the mayor. And it's like, holy crap. And he was so excited about the Jeff Award. He wanted to see it and have his picture taken with us. And we're gonna miss that. We're really gonna miss that. So Marilyn thought it would be fun to read one of Tom's stories from his column, Common Sense. And I had so much fun reading these stories, and let's see if I can do him justice here. I'm getting a light. Here we go. He's talking about men and women at the sexes, and our blind spots can be summed up in cars and purses. And he starts. A couple of weekends ago, I had the unparalleled joy of assisting both my wife and her business partner and friend in choosing new cars. The two, who generally don't want me within 300 feet of their female-staffed business, I have a tendency to say damn in front of children, condescended to let me tag along as their technical expert. Indeed, my knowledge of new cars is quite extensive, largely because I keep the annual April car edition of Consumer Reports in the bathroom and refer to it with regularity to have it committed to memory each year by Memorial Day. One year, I suffered a bout of constipation and had it memorized by Easter. In any case, the three of us visited an Aurora car dealership that featured multiple makes and models, while I regaled my female friends with comparative data on engine displacement, shoulder room, and 5-year histories of reliability. They, in their most discriminating manner, were busy making their choices on such critical factors as cuteness and color, as well as important engineering considerations, such as the existence of sunglass storage compartment and the number and placement of cup holders. At some point in the afternoon, my wife's partner, amused, though not particularly influenced by my helpful insights, stated that my nearly encyclopedic knowledge must be a guy thing. Initially taken aback by such a shockingly sexist comment, I was forced into a flashback of my youth, when at the approximate ages of 9 and 10 respectively, my neighbor and I each, knee-high to a peony bush, would stand at the edge of my yard on Main Street in Batavia and compete to call out the make, model, and year of each passing car. Maybe my wife's friend is right about car talk being a guy thing. After all, I can identify every make and model. Why, my wife can't even discern her own car in the Jewel parking lot. My wife, who easily exceeds my abilities in almost every other facet of life, drives a metallic champagne-colored car, a pretty, if fairly common color. I cannot begin to count the occasions in which we have exited a supermarket or shopping center when suddenly I will notice my wife heading off in a direction markedly different from my own. When I inquire, where is she going, she will point to a parked vehicle which looks nothing like ours except for being roughly the same hue and say, "Isn't this our car?" "No," I will reply, "it's over here." I often wonder what happens when I'm not there to point out her car. But I took dubious comfort from her partner, who said, "My wife does not suffer alone. Other women experience some difficulty in recognizing their cars." This point is buttressed by a recent study of the National Center for Otherwise Useless Information, which found that 70% of all car alarms set off for no apparent reason are caused by women trying to get into the wrong vehicle. Rather than reaching any sexist conclusions about this apparent shortcoming, I theorized that it was simply a matter of priorities. While cars are important to men, other major purchases are simply more important to women. So what would be an analogous purchase for a woman? Shoes. After all, men don't care squat about shoes, while women seem to. To men, shoes are a necessary evil. We have limited choices, and we like it that way. Black, brown, accordion, tassels, or tassel-less. On the other hand, women's shoes come in a remarkable array of colors and design, and the engineering is remarkable. I don't know how they stay upright in some of those things. But alas, women's shoes are too cheap and frequently bought to be analogous to cars. Then there's purses. Now here is an item that is vitally important to women and one which men don't know about, don't care about, and cannot tell apart. Men's cars, women's purses. What a great analogy. Think about it. A purse is a woman's form of transportation. All her stuff, credit cards, makeup, brush, comb, emery board, crumpled tissues, ancient store receipts, birth control pills, get transported in her purse. And it's a major purchase. Women will sometimes drive the same purse for 2 or 3 years, with necessary seasonal change-outs, of course. When women do go shopping for a purse, it's prolonged and serious business, not unlike the purchase of a family sedan. And once the purchase is made, there is a certain amount of pride, show, and ego gratification, not to mention the smell of new leather. Just as my wife has problems locating her car in a parking lot, I panic each time I'm supposed to collect her purse along with her coat at the end of a party. Often, I have to check her ID to make sure I have the right purse. And once some lady walked in and accused me of trying to steal her wallet. Boy, did I feel stupid. I guess that just goes to show that men and women have their priorities and blind spots. It certainly proves 2 of my favorite old expressions. You can't make a silk purse out of a Volvo, and you don't need a car to get to 9 West. God bless us. Thank you.
My name is Richard Irvin, and greetings on behalf of our 1,200 plus City of Aurora employees and our more than 200,000 Aurora residents. Today, and for the past few weeks, we have become a much more unified community as we all mourn the loss of our 57th mayor, the Honorable Thomas J. Weisner. We are all on this stage to remember. Marilyn, Tony, and the entire Weisner and Hogan family. You have and will continue to have our deepest sympathies and support as we grieve this significant loss to your family and to our entire community. But while our hearts may hurt and while our eyes may shed tears, I'm reminded of words in the Bible. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. In fact, joy is here today. Although we are genuinely acknowledging our devastating loss in the passing of Tom Weisner, we also remember with melancholy and joy the enormous impact that one man had, whether directly or indirectly, on every person in this city. The power of one is revealed now more than ever. One good Sunday sermon can make your entire week. One memorable song can bring back a flood of emotions, changing your entire mood. One encouraging word can make a dismal day dynamic. And one man can inspire and ignite a community. For Aurora, that one is Thomas J. Weisner. 12 years ago, Tom and I stood on this very stage at the historic Paramount Theater and debated who should be the mayor of this great city. After his victory, It was right here on this stage where Tom Weisner took his oath of office, leading to 3 terms as mayor. 12 years later, it was on this exact stage that I took my oath of office to begin my first term as mayor. During my acceptance speech, I shared my vision for the future of our great city, and also my appreciation of Aurora's past. As I said then, and I sincerely reaffirm today, that past is inextricably bound to Mayor Tom Weisner. His vision and his tireless work to build the foundation upon which I am honored to currently stand. My grandfather would often tell me, it's hard to judge a man unless you walked a mile in his shoes. Well, I have the responsibility of walking in Tom Weisner's shoes. And only time will tell if I can fill them. Sir Isaac Newton said it best when he said, if I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulder of giants. Tom Weisner was a giant in the world of politics and leadership here in Aurora, who left his footprints all over the City of Lights. Tom devoted so much of himself, and he loved. His love showed so much. His influence continues to shine. If you've ever connected to the 100+ miles of fiber-optic ring that circles Aurora, thank Tom Weisner. If you've ever entered or exited I-88 from Yola Road interchange, that is the footprint of Tom Weisner. When you're traveling through the community and into downtown and you've ever admired the beautiful rain gardens, Tom Weisner. Have you ever driven down River Street to see what it is now, having known what it used to be? Have you ever taken a class at downtown Wabansie campus, checked out a book at the Aurora Public Library, bought a condo at River Street Plaza? Well, you'd be walking in the footsteps of Tom Weisner. Have you ever enjoyed a concert or a community event at River Edge Park? Thank Tom Weisner. And you better believe when we open that new pedestrian bridge, we will be remembering Tom Weisner. Sat in that very seat here at the Paramount Theater and watched the magic of a Broadway musical or a concert. That is the vision and footprint of our 57th mayor, Tom Weisner. As I look out in the audience today, I am reminded of Tom's commitment to diversity and inclusion. He didn't simply talk the talk, he walked the walk and left his footprints along the way, building a stronger community by giving everyone a voice. As Aurora continues to shine brighter and brighter, his work and his wisdom will never be forgotten. From the Solomon Islands to Stoke Island, he made a lasting mark on the lives of everyone he came in contact with. Some people come into our lives and leave footprints in our hearts and minds, and we are never the same again. I believe that was the effect of Thomas J. Weisner, a gentleman and a giant. Marilyn, we are here for you as you have been here for us. We love you and will forever love what your husband has done for the great city of Aurora. To Tom, farewell, my friend, and Godspeed on your journey.
The memories that we have, whether personal or collective, are treasures that death cannot take from us. For we come today to remind ourselves that death does not have the final word. Life and its attendant memories are stronger than death. Relationships are as sacred and secure as they have always been, as heart and soul and mind straddle the thin veil between this world and the next. Tom's spirit indeed is alive for the ages and will continue for generations to come because of the profound influence he's had in his briefer than hoped for but packed with zestful living years among us. Each memory that is shared creates a legacy to be remembered all the days of our lives. We hear now a song that expresses Tom's modus operandi in everything that he did, whether it was a personal endeavor or in his many years in public service. Tom had the heart of a servant and an undying commitment to being a peacemaker at every point.
I'm Carrie Ann, Marilyn, Tony, Olivia, members of the Weisner family, distinguished guests, and fellow Aurorans. It seems only fitting today that I begin with Tom's signature opening, which would be, "Welcome to Aurora, where the sun is always shining." Today we say goodbye to the son of Jeff and Cassie Weisner. Born in Batavia, although his name, Thomas J. Weisner, will be forever synonymous with Aurora. A visionary servant leader, Tom Weisner saw great promise and potential in Aurora when many believed the city's best days were behind it.
Today, Mayor Weisner is remembered as the driving force behind Aurora's transformation from a crime-plagued city in decline to a thriving community alive with art, commerce, and technology. But those of us who loved him, whose our hearts literally ache with his passing, knew him by other much more personal titles. Husband, father, papa, brother, uncle, grill master extraordinaire, and I, like so many others he'd mentored, cared for, laughed, and cried with over the years, knew him as a cherished friend. Now, I can only imagine that today Tom is looking down laughing out loud alongside Dad, Cindy, Tim, his parents, and the friends who've gone before him. You see, Tom knows that stepping out from behind the curtain and onto the stage is the last place I ever want to be. But it seems that even now he has still found a way to encourage me to stretch in ways I never imagined. So, friends, bear with me. Years ago, coming back from a meeting up north, Tom and I took a detour so he could show me the town he grew up in. Parked out front of a lovely historic house he recalled growing up in a good Catholic family, which of course meant he had plenty of siblings. An older sister, Cindy, and younger siblings, Judy, Wendy, Wayne. His dad, a successful salesman working for what is known today as International Paper, often put in long hours, a work ethic Tom would mirror as he worked at the helm of Illinois' second largest city. His mom managed the household while volunteering at Holy Cross Parish and Batavia Women's Club. She would later go on to open a successful women's boutique. Watching his mom pour into her community made quite the impression on Tom. As I listened to his stories, I better understood why he always, no matter how busy his schedule, prioritized stopping by local charitable events to meet the volunteers, whom he called the heart and soul of Aurora. Coming of age in the tumultuous 60s, Tom once vividly recalled his 11-year-old self listening with rapt attention to President John F. Kennedy's inauguration speech, captivated by the idea that maybe a boy from a small town in Illinois had the potential to change the world. He would later recall listening to JFK's words as a defining moment in his life. From early on in Tom's life, all roads seemed to point to Aurora. First, literally, as he hitchhiked down Route 31 to where the Prisco Center now sits, but at that time was home to Marmion Military Academy. At Marmion, he made several lifelong friends. A reluctant athlete with quick wit, Tom got his first taste of politics when he was elected class president. A major perk of that job was getting to help select the cheerleading squad at Madonna High School for girls. It was the sister school to Marmion, and he picked Marilyn Hogan and never let go. He married the love of his life in 1972, and together with his bride, they decided to make Aurora their home. Tom adored Marilyn. Over the years, he'd describe her as fearless, compassionate, kind, patient, and tenacious. His soulmate, his rock, his inspiration. And most often, around me, your memory so clear, deep in the stillness, I can hear you speak. You're still an inspiration. Can it be that you are mine?
Let us bow our heads for a moment of silence. Let us pray. Lord our God, the death of our brother Thomas recalls our human condition and the brevity of our lives on earth. But for those who believe in your love, death is not the end, nor does it destroy the bonds that you forge in our lives. We share the faith of your Son's disciples and the hope of the children of God. Bring the light of Christ's resurrection to this time of testing and pain, as we pray for Thomas and for those who love him. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Blessed are those who have died in the Lord. Let them rest from their labors, for their good deeds go with them. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace. Amen. May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. And may the peace of God, which is beyond all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God. Amen.